Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good day everyone. Today, we will talk about the global international trade in India, Japan and Germany. So, what is the global international trade? Global international trade is the undergoing a major paradigm shift as a environmental, social and governance ESG. Principal transition from the optional corporate initiative into strictly enforced regulatory mandates that redefine global trade routes. Traditionally optimized for the speed and cost, supply chains are now being fundamentally reworked under pressure from the climate crisis and institutional backing from the WTO and UN. However, the lack of a unified global authority has created a fragmented regulatory landscape of the overlapping disclosure liabilities and carbon tariffs. This friction disproportionately impacts developing nations lacking the institutional capacity to adapt. A systemic divide clearly visible when the comparing Germany's strict legal accountability via its Supply Chain Due Diligence Act, India Balancing Act of the Industrialization and Domestic Compliance through SEBIs and BRSR framework, and Japan market-oriented technology-driven green transformation leads. By cross-examining these uneven blueprints with data from the World Bank and IMF, this study exposes enforcement gaps and compliance.
Good day, everyone. This presentation begins with the theoretical foundation of green trade and ESG in international economies. As globalization continues to expand, environmental, social, and governance (ESG) has become an important factor shaping global trade and competitiveness. Two key theories explain this relationship. First, ecological modernization theory suggests that strong environmental regulation can drive innovation and improve competitiveness. In contrast, the pollution heaven hypothesis argues that the firms may relocate to countries with a weaker regulation to reduce costs. Overall, ESG regulation play a critical role in determining whether countries achieve sustainable growth or face environmental risks in global trade. Now, building on these theories, the next part will connect them with trade models and real-world evidence. This slide links economic theory with empirical evidence to better understand how ESG influence trade patterns. Comparative advantage explain how countries specialize based on efficiency, while the Hackers-Ohlin model show how differences in resources can lead pollution-intensive industry to shift across countries. In addition, new trade theory highlights the importance of innovation and economies of scale in achieving green technology leadership. Empirical studies support these ideas. Porter and van der Linde showed that environmental regulation can stimulate innovation, while Copeland and Taylor provide evidence of the pollution heaven effect. More recent findings from the WTO and World Bank confirm that ESG policies are actively reshaping global trade flows. Overall, trade patterns today are strongly influenced by ESG regulation intensity. This conceptual framework illustrates how ESG regulation shape global trade and competitiveness. Starting from globalization and the digital economy, ESG regulation influence firm behavior by encouraging compliance, innovation, and transparency. These changes then affect trade flows and investment patterns, ultimately determining global competitiveness. The key insight is clear. Strong ESG frameworks drive innovation, enhance reputation, and create a green trade advantage. In contrast, weak ESG increases risk, including the pollution heaven effect and reduce market access. In conclusion, in today's global economy, market access increasing dependently on verified ESG performance. Thank you.
This section presents a comparative analysis of ESG compliance and trade competitiveness across Germany, India, and Japan. Firstly, Germany is recognized as a global leader in ESG implementation through strict regulations such as the Supply Chain Due Diligence Act. Companies are required to monitor environmental and human rights risks within their supply chain. Although compliance costs are high, this strong regulation enhance Germany's export competitiveness, particularly in green technology, automotive, and engineering sectors. Secondly, India is still in a developing stage of ESG adoption. With the introduction of the BRSR framework by SEBI, companies are encouraged to improve sustainability, reporting, and accountability. However, many small and medium enterprises face challenges such as limited financial resources, lack of technology, and insufficient ESG awareness. Despite this issue, India has strong potential due to its growing renewable energy sectors and expanding green manufacturing industry. Thirdly, Japan applied a unique ESG approach that combines government support, technological innovation, and market-based initiatives. Investment in hydrogen energy, electric vehicle, and energy efficient manufacturing strengthen Japan's global competitiveness. However, Japan still faces challenges due to its reliance on imported energy, which affect its progress toward carbon neutrality. In conclusion, Germany and Japan are more advanced in ESG compliance compared to India. Overall, ESG is becoming a key factor in international trade competitiveness by attracting investment, improving market access, and strengthening long-term economic resilience.
Based on our comparative analysis, several strategic recommendations can be proposed to improve ESG compliance and green trade in Germany, India, and Japan. For Germany, the government should provide more support to SME in meeting ESG requirements. This can be done through green technology grant, tax incentive, and sustainable financing scheme. In addition, multinational companies should work more closely with smaller suppliers to improve ESG compliance through the supply chain. For India, the main focus should be on expanding green financing and improving industry capacity. The government should provide more technology subsidies, financial support, and ESG training programs. International organizations such as the World Bank and IMF can also help by providing financial and technical assistance. For Japan, greater investment in green technology research is recommended. Stronger cooperation between the government, research institutions, and private companies can help accelerate low carbon innovation and improve ESG performance. At the global level, international organizations should promote common ESG standards, technology transfer, and knowledge sharing. Cooperation between developed and developing countries is important to support a more sustainable and inclusive green trade system. Thank you.
Alright, so to make ESG compliance successful, government and business need to work together. First, companies need more awareness and training about ESG practice so they can better understanding sustainability requirements. Second, government should provide financial support, incentive, and encourage investment in green technology to help business adapt more easily. International organizations such as the WTO, IMF, World Bank, and United Nations can also support countries through funding, technical assistance, and policy guidance. However, there are still challenges such as high compliance costs, limited technology, and difference in ESG standards between countries. Therefore, implementation should be carried out step by step, starting with awareness program, followed by technology adoption, and finally, achieve full ESG integration in international trade. Alright, in conclusion, ESG compliance is becoming more important in global trade. Germany performs well because of its strong regulation, while Japan benefits from advanced technology and innovation. India is still developing its ESG system but has strong potential to future growth. Overall, countries with stronger ESG practice can attract more investment, improve market access, and become more competitive. Therefore, international cooperation is important to support sustainable and inclusive economic growth.